Welcome to another episode of A Swift Kick in the Ass. This is your host, John Curren. With me today, I have Dr. Z, Dr. Zynul Khan, who likes to go by the name of Dr. Z. Now, Dr. Z, it's my understanding you are a physician, that you transitioned from the hospital to YouTube. So
Wait,
this has got to be an interesting story. Uh,
yes,
and how you went from medicine and to YouTube, and you're, you know, you've left the hospital floor, but you're helping people. Focusing on people like me, really, who are over the age of 50, who who have who have life experience, I guess, and knowledge and expertise, and you want to help bring that out, right? And create content. I'm not really sure. I'll let you talk
yes,
from there.
yes. So yes, that's what I try to do. I am trying to help 10,000 coaches and course creators take their message, their all that years of experience and knowledge, and put it in a place where it can be discovered and where they can help 10 million people achieve their goals by using that information, right? So really, and I'm dealing with persons over the age of 50. I am actually over the age of 52.
Good
Um,
job. You look
and
great.
yeah, thank you. And I realized one of the challenges they face is the technology for one, right? You get overwhelmed by all this. Do I do it on social media? Do I do it what computer, what camera, all that stuff? And
Hmm.
then you're dealing with the editing software, and now with the advent of AI, you're dealing with all the AI tools, right? But not only that, a lot of them are not, they have stored information. So, like one of my clients, he has I think almost 50 interviews he's done over the years with top-notch entrepreneurs and business owners, and
Hmm.
it's just sitting in an archive, right? And I'm like, why are you not sharing this? So
Right.
all that content is just sitting there on a website or in your Google Drive or your whichever OneDrive or wherever you have it. And I help them to start to take that information, put it out there, and put it in a way that it reaches the audience on YouTube. So it's not just just the content itself, it's the thumbnails, the titles, the descriptions, the edits, all those things. And that's what I help coaches and course creators do.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I've been doing this now for I think 12 years. And I mean, haven't really been that serious about YouTube up until recently. Um, my former co-host, he handled all the technical stuff. So I've been really learning a lot about it. So I know about, SEO and, search engine optimization, and basically trying to speak in the language of the people that you're trying to reach.
Yeah.
But, I'm trying to use AI tools too, and trying to use them to my advantage. And I swear, I think they screwed me over, and my numbers dropped. And I questioned it, and it said, it's okay. You've got to expect it to drop because the algorithm, you've changed things, and now the algorithm is recalculating. And I'm like, what? So I'm in your market, I think, because I know my experience was very similar to what you described for the
Well,
people you help. So how do you help?
so let's start with the SEO, the whole concept. There's SEO and AEO now. So there's search engine optimization. And there's the answer engine optimization.
Answer
What?
engine.
Yeah.
Hmm.
What are people asking for on YouTube? How can you answer those questions? And then YouTube just recently changed its policy where it's now targeting more creators and starting to shut down channels that are using mostly AI, right? So
Hmm.
all these channels you see coming out just producing videos by AI over and over
Yeah.
again. If it's not original content, if it's not something that somebody has done before, and it's not saying don't use AI, it's saying use it strategically, right? And have your content be original. So let's say you're using AI to write your scripts, but then you come on and you're doing your own scripts and you're giving your take on those scripts. That's your original content. AI won't shut you down for that, right? But they're
Okay.
trying to get rid of this overwhelming amount of videos that can be created by AI and just flood the whole system. And their AI tools are very good at picking up whether something is AI created or if it's a real person or the real content that you're talking about. So those things make a difference. Another thing about YouTube is, and I think people misunderstand this about YouTube, but it is a growth platform. So you might have original content, like you've been doing podcasting for 12 years, and then you switch into the YouTube realm, but you've never been on YouTube before. So now YouTube has to learn who you
Right.
are, right? And the AI helps it to do that faster, right? So, but it takes time for YouTube to start suggesting your content into the right spaces. And then what you do for podcasts doesn't apply to YouTube. So I tell my clients all the time, the way you speak on your podcast isn't the way you want to speak in your YouTube channel. So like one of my clients, she's been running a podcast for quite some time, making her soon to be hit her 100th episode, right?
Okay.
And when we started working together, I was like, okay, you need to change your introduction a little bit. You need to talk about what people want to hear and not just the introduction. Like you start off, hey, I'm so and so, and this is a podcast about, and then you go in, and then you give your little spiel, you have a little music, you have your intro. Doesn't work for YouTube, right?
Hmm.
Because the YouTube algorithm is that first 30 seconds, that first 10 seconds, right? That's like a gold mine of real estate for you. And if you're missing those 10 seconds, people are gone. And you see people staying for 6 seconds on your video, it's not making the views, right? So that first 30 seconds, you don't want to be talking about what your podcast is about, but what can it do to help you? Right? What am I doing for, what are we going to discuss in this podcast? What are the
Hmm.
3 things you're going to gain? What is this podcast really helping you answer? What question are you asking and how does the podcast answer it? Right? No. Let's say, for instance, somebody like Gary Vee, right? If you
Hmm.
ever listen to Gary Vee's podcast now, he always starts off with a clip from his channel, from his talk. He doesn't start off with the beginning of his talk. So he takes a clip
Hmm.
out, one he likes, puts it as the intro, and that's his intro. So like for my client, that's what I started doing with her. I started taking clips from the talk itself. I edit it out and put it as the intro, and then it chimes into. So that first 30
Hmm.
seconds is already taken care of, where she's giving the value, she's telling you what she's answering, and then she gets into her podcast, and now she's got the interest. So all
Yeah.
of those things play important parts of it. Another aspect is now social media. TikTok has changed social media. It's no longer social, it's interest. So I'm sure you've been on your phone, John, where you talk
Mhm.
about some random thing like a new pair of shoes with a friend or some jacket you bought, right? And suddenly there's a whole bunch of stuff in your feeds talking about the brand and some other brands
Oh
that
yeah.
like it. And you're like, where did this come from? The phone is listening to you. So same thing with YouTube. People are on there, they're asking questions, and what YouTube is looking for is does your video answer their question?
Yeah.
And then it sticks it in their feed, which is different from podcasts because in podcasts, you have to go reach your audience. They have to come find you, right? Like a
Yes.
majority of people, when it used to be in the past, you had to go on this list of the top 100 podcasts. And if you're not in the top 10, it's really a tough struggle to get up there, right? Whereas
Hmm.
now with YouTube, it's changed that completely, where you do a podcast on YouTube and you post it, and it's now finding the people for you. So your podcast is popping up in 50, 100, 1,000 feeds, right? Whereas they
Hmm.
wouldn't have before. So all of that has changed because of the YouTube algorithm and YouTube AI. So it's been an interesting conversion of how YouTube has changed.
Yeah, no, I agree. I had never heard of the term AEO, the
Yes.
answer engine optimization. That's very interesting to me. And I mean, just the it's interesting the little tweaks that we make, the little flip of just a little bit of changing your understanding a little bit can go a long, long way. And the
Yeah.
suggestion that you made about taking the clip, 30-second clip, maybe the best part of that podcast, and putting it to the front, sounds pretty genius. to me
Yes.
because,
Oh,
you're right, because it's looking, um, as you were talking, I use AI, but not for my scripts and such. It's more for, I use Opus clips.
yeah.
So I'm using AI to create shorts of my longer podcasts. And again, it draws them to, the full podcast, hopefully. And actually it does. I mean, it does pulls it to the podcast, pulls it to the website. Um, it goes a long way.
So you brought up something interesting there. The first one I want to answer for you is for your audience, a great way to get what clips you want to use at the introduction is while you're doing your video. Was there something, and I always tell my clients, listen to what you're talking about, and was there something that you thought that you said was immensely profound? Was something like it's a sound bite that you never had before, and all of a sudden you have it there, and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I just said that, right? So that's one of the things I ask my clients to do. So to pay attention to what you're saying and just say, okay, and then that could be your clip. And that could be the beginning clip that you just have to go back and remember it was and put it in,
Hmm.
right? But another thing you mentioned was that I lost my train of thought there for a second. Uh, sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Using the Opus clips
All
or
right,
something like
yes.
that.
So shorts versus long video. So I'll give you some statistics to get things going. Right now in the US, 158 million Americans listen to YouTube or listen to podcasts, right? And worldwide, that's 584 million. No, that's 55% American are consuming podcasts in the last month, right? And think
Wow.
about it. Your last election in the US, and I live in Trinidad and Tobago. And interestingly, we know about elections in the US because you guys are always on YouTube, right? Or on social media, right? But your last election had 158 million Americans who voted. Sorry, 158 million who were listening. You only had 156 million people who voted. So you actually had more people listening to podcasts than voters, right?
Hmm. Yep.
And so, but then we talk about what's the difference between shorts versus long videos. So now I'm sure you've heard of the shorts brain rot, right? Where people feel that they're getting overwhelmed by watching all these shorts and they're just not
Hmm.
getting any value from them anymore. And it's just entertainment and they're getting fed up of it. So what more and more listeners are looking for is longer content. And more people are listening to things on their smart TVs. So they're not going to go and search out each short and then have to go through the next one and the next one and the next one. Because using those remotes are terrible, right? You have to go one letter at a time.
Hmm.
So they're looking for longer content. So a lot of persons are sitting in their house, they're cooking, they're cleaning, they're doing something, and there's a podcast running in the background and it's on their smart TV. And they're listening to longer and longer content. So the shorts game is different from the long form game. And you got to expect with shorts, like I tell my clients, shorts is all about visibility. It's getting people to know that you exist, but it's not
Hmm.
for engagement. Your long form is where people go, they want to learn more, they want to know more about what you're talking about because they heard the short that really intrigued them. And then they go look, and that's where you engage with them. That's where they get to know you. That's where you can make your call to actions, make your offers, right? So it's two different games you're playing when you're playing shorts versus long games. So like how you're using Opus Clip for years, those are great for generating visibility to bring more people to your channel, but
Hmm.
it's not good for engagement. So yes, and that can drop off your views a little bit. But if you're not playing on it for just, those viral moments and you're willing to take your time and let it grow, right? You can really leverage both and generate great value for your channel.
Okay. Yeah, that kind of makes sense what I was reading before and about the approach that I should take. That makes sense. But honestly, it's really tough when you see your numbers go down.
Oh yeah,
And you're
yeah.
thinking, "Oh my gosh, I just really screwed myself over." But like you said, it takes time to identify really what you're talking, what you're talking about. First of all, the system needs to understand what you're talking about and what you're trying to answer.
Yes.
what questions you're trying to answer. And, that's a lot different from the SEO perspective, which is you're looking to speak in the language of the person that you're looking for.
Yes.
So now you're trying to answer the questions that they're asking.
Which which is actually much easier to do than the SEO. Because remember, SEO is all search, right? So it's what is, but the AEO, you can actually go on like ChatGPT or an AI of that sort and ask it,
Yeah.
what are the questions my audience are wanting answered? And then you can create your thumbnail and titles to match that, and then do the clip of your video to match that answer. And now you have in those first 30 seconds, the AI of YouTube recognizes what you're talking about and it's pushing it into the right feeds. And
Hmm.
just those simple tweaks can increase your views simply because now you're creating interest. So I've heard stories where people worked really hard on their thumbnails or titles and that first 30 seconds, and then they forget the rest of the video and what it's supposed to create, the value it's supposed to create. And they get great views, but then people drop off after 30 seconds, after a minute, because they lost interest. Right. So there is a big strategy to all of this.
So it's really important then to go through the transcript and the timing and so forth and cut like cut create the sections that answer specific questions. I guess that's how you'd be the most successful, right? Is if you had a transcript, and yeah, at marker minute and 20 seconds or whatever, you start talking about, this and it ends here or whatever. That that's
Well,
that's
well,
where I
not
have so
necessarily.
much difficulty.
Well, not necessarily. I think that's getting a little complicated.
Okay.
I think what it is like in the first few minutes of your video, you generate that interest in what you're
Okay.
talking about. And now the person is there; they want to learn more. And one of the things I also show my clients to do is putting in more call to action. So every video should have 10 to 20 call to actions, right?
Okay.
So every few minutes, you need to give your call to action of what's coming next. And a call to action is not necessarily subscribe or download my free ebook or come to my course. It might be simply coming up next in this video, we'll discuss 3 ways to improve your YouTube presence, right? And
Mm-hmm.
now you create an anticipation. And then you start going through them. And as you go through each one, you introduce another call to action of what's coming next, right? And that's one way to keep people engaged. Things like Spotify and so on have changed the way people see and receive information. Like they want that instant gratification. So you got to play into that to keep them on your video. Also recognizing like YouTube analytics is one of the best I've seen for any social media platform. Using your analytics over time to see where are your customers coming from, what are they looking for, what's their demographic, and things like how long are they staying on your channel. So if they're on there for three
Mm-hmm.
minutes, you know that at 3 minutes you need to plug something. You need to keep them interested. If they're on there, if they drop off after 3 minutes, you see 6 minutes in or 10 minutes in, they're gone again, you need to plug it again, right? So taking all of those things and playing it in. So it's not necessarily creating those timestamps to say, here, we're going to do this, here, we're going to do that. It's not that as much. It's being able to recognize, and this takes time. I mean, you got to produce
Yeah.
tons of videos. Like most most podcasters and YouTube creators, what is the number state that sorry, I have it here somewhere. 47% of them don't make past three episodes of their podcast or their
Yeah.
YouTube channel. And 90% of people stop after 20 videos, don't even make it to 20 videos. Now, that's not enough to give you the analytics. You need to know what your audience wants. So you got to keep going at it. Like one of the things I always go is 1,095 days. Are you at 1,095 days? In other words, have you done enough videos over the next 1,095 days to now say, I am at a space where I can analyze it and say, this is working for me, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it takes time and you can use the analytics. So getting into the reads of, should I put a timestamp here and talk about this? Yes, that's good, but it's not necessarily what you need to do. What you need to do, remember the person is listening to you. They're probably doing something they're probably driving a car or they're doing something in their homes. They're not
Mm-hmm.
looking at your description. They're looking at something else. They don't even have their finger on the mouse, right? So in that, you need to give them those timestamps. You need to tell them next,
Something
we'll
that
be talking
kind of,
about this.
yeah,
Yeah,
raises the
right. And
flag and makes them
yes,
think, really. Honestly, and that's what this whole podcast is. It's born on, it's founded on, is taking on subjects that make people think
yes,
about things. And, you know, a lot of people, especially in their 50s, are also often in a transition phase to where they're going from one career to the next. Just like, for instance, you and
yeah,
being a physician and finding, because I think it's really the age that you find yourself, um, and you start pursuing the things that really interest you.
yes. Yeah,
So so this is what you do now, as a business. You help people uh, kind of build their presence and kind of
yes,
build build their place on YouTube, right? And
yes, I
build a
do.
channel.
But I don't do this full time as yet. I'm working on building that business to go full time. I'm still working in a hospital as a medical doctor.
Okay.
And I'm doing this as basically I'm doing two full-time jobs at the same time. But one my story was, when I started, I got fed up of the way medicine was going and the way I felt about how I was treating my patients. And I wanted something different. I didn't feel like I was helping people anymore. I just felt like I was treating diseases and the person was leaving and then they come back and they still have the same problems.
Right.
So I was like, I gotta be able to reach more people. And I'm trained in public health. And one of the things in public health we talk about is if you're gonna treat a population, you can't treat just individual people. You have to treat communities. You have to treat whole groups of people, right? And I thought, I'm empathetic. I'm very empathetic to how people feel. And I love how coaches and course creators can generate this amazing change in people, but a lot of them are silent. So while being in medicine, I got severely burnt out. I was just overwhelmed. I was just fed up. And
Yes.
I decided to take a year off, and that's where I started dabbling in different forms of health. So I went into diabetes, I went into weight loss, I did a whole bunch of dabbled in a bunch of things. And one of my colleagues came to me and she says, "Hey, you helped me lose a lot of weight." So she also, I think, was 43 pounds in 6 months, right, working with me. And she's
Hmm.
like, "I've been working with these women and they've been struggling with menopause. I like what you did, my weight loss, and I know you're good at this whole online stuff.
Yeah,
Um, and
that's
and
needed.
using AI and the technology." So she's like, "That's not I'm terrible at those things. So would you willing to pair up with me and we do a menopause thing?" And I was like, "Well, let's do it on YouTube." Right. So I was now starting to dabble in YouTube, and that was like 2, 3 years ago. And I was like, "Okay, let's do it on YouTube." And that's when we launched our first channel. And now we have, I think, over 50 videos, right? 2 years of consistent work. And and that's where I really got into the YouTube space, and I started playing more with it, and I started working, and I
Hmm.
start because I've been a few mentorship groups, and there's a lot of people my age and over who I see they're always struggling to get clients. They're always, "Oh, how do we do the social media stuff? How we do this?" And they're hearing about it, but they don't know how to do it. And I was like, you know what? I can help them. Right. So I just offered. I was like, "Hey, do you guys want help with building your channels on YouTube? You're trying to do a podcast. Let's do it in YouTube. That way you can get the reach. YouTube can do the marketing for you. And you build your podcast at the same time. And now you're reaching people, you're getting the help. And you don't have to worry about it. It's an evergreen, right? Because
Yes.
unlike other channels, YouTube, you're always there. Right? People can go back and find you 3 years, 5 years, 7 years
Even
later.
after you're gone.
Yeah.
After you
And
die.
here's your legacy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My co-host died of he had brain cancer.
Oh my
But
goodness, I'm sorry to
it,
hear that.
yeah, I was too. He's my oldest, friend, from childhood. And he died about 5 years ago. But through AI, I'm able to recapture the old work, and I've been creating reels from it. And
Yeah,
he goes out there, and what's so great is when people he's speaking, his spirits come alive,
Yes,
really through it. He's connecting. He's not even here on Earth, and he's connecting with people. He would love it. You know, I just to share a little of my background. My undergraduate degree is in health science education, with an
nice.
emphasis in commu or it. I Yeah, it was an emphasis in community health. So I understand exactly what you're saying. Take a population-based approach to things, and you get a lot more done. You feel a lot more, you help a lot more people uh,
Yeah,
by doing that. And really, that's why most people go into healthcare. Um, I'm I've been involved with healthcare. I started working in hospitals when I was 19 years old, um, and I worked my way through undergrad. But I'm not a medical. I have no knowledge of medicine. I'm not a medic. I'm not on a clinical side. I'm on the administrative side.
yeah,
So I'm
gotcha.
all, so yeah, I actually have an MHA.
Nice.
So I understand. No, so it's great. I think you're absolutely right. A lot of professionals these days get burned out.
Yeah,
What they're doing, especially if they're in a helping profession, and they're being just their hands are being tied in so many different ways in how they deal with their patients. Uh,
yes,
we don't have to go into all the different reasons for that, but yeah, I can appreciate that you'd be burnt out on
yeah.
that, but you still have that drive and the passion to help people.
Yeah. Yeah. And I discovered it just using YouTube. And I realized this is a really powerful, and I'm trying to convince more and more podcasters to take their channels on YouTube, right? Yes,
Hmm.
continue doing your podcast, but put it on YouTube too. I know YouTube has a podcast feature. So it's gone into the podcast game. And just recently, Netflix has gone into the podcast game. Apple
Yes,
Podcasts is upping its game. All of these channels are now realizing the power of podcasting and how it can be used. But YouTube is way ahead of them already. Biggest search engine in the world. But there's a billion views every day on YouTube, right? So people are searching, people are looking, and now it's changed so much. People are now looking for ultra long content. So those 3 hour videos, those 4 hour videos
yeah,
are now starting to hit, right? People are listening and learning more. And and this is why I work with people over the age of 50. There's so much wisdom there. Like in the olden days, I mean, in some cultures we still do it. Like I live in the Caribbean, we still have a lot of respect for our elders, and we go asking them questions all the time. Here's this wealth of knowledge, this wealth of
absolutely.
experience, right? That can be imparted on the younger generation who's struggling. They're like, oh, how do we get this? How we have to deal with the war in Iran? We have to deal with oil prices. We have to deal with disrupted markets, we have cryptocurrency. All of this is bombarding us. And then we have this massive amount of information that's coming at us every day. Like, for instance, our grandparents, our great grandparents received in their entire lifetime the information we receive in an hour on on social media. That's the amount of information we're getting their entire lifetimes. They didn't get the amount of
Wow.
information we get in an hour, right? So that's a lot to be constantly absorbing. And here you have these amazing coaches, these amazing people who have this beautiful knowledge, this level of experience that they can share. They can build their legacies, as you said, like your podcast partner. His
Hmm.
legacy lives on. His
Oh, it
kids can go back
absolutely
and listen
does.
to them. Yeah. And this Carnegie guy, who used to talk,
Dale
uh,
Carnegie.
yes, Dale Carnegie. I know of a group of young people who just licensed his likeness and are now creating his stuff again. So they're going to see a whole bunch of Dale Carnegie videos.
Think and grow
Yeah,
rich. Yes.
yeah, they're doing it again by
Yes.
AI. So you're going to see a whole bunch of Dale Carnegie stuff coming up,
That
even
was
though
a
he's been
great
gone.
book.
Yeah.
Al,
So
you talk about green, evergreen.
yes,
And
that's
I
an
mean,
evergreen.
it was, yeah, if say practical, there were, I guess, some, can't, when was that written in the 30s?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, if anyone, Napoleon Hill was the author of this book, Think and Grow Rich, and Carnegie actually funded it, I believe.
Yeah.
And it tells you how to think and grow rich. In fact, it says write down a list of things that you want, and I to put it away, and I have that down in my. I did exactly what they said. Yeah, no, I agree. There's some
1937 was when it was published.
okay, and it still holds true today. And
Yes.
that too, people people's wisdom, are if you're lucky enough to have your grandparents still, the wisdom, even though times have changed, a lot of the wisdom that they have is ageless and it's
Timeless, yes.
universal.
Yeah, definitely. And
And
I say like you, John, your wisdom and all the coaches out there, all the course creators, all these entrepreneurs who are changing careers now. And here's the thing, there's no reason, and nowadays our retirement isn't lasting that long. See, I've seen people going back out into the job space and trying to make money, driving cars, working
yeah,
in grocery stores.
Walmart.
Yeah, when they can just build a YouTube channel and that could be earning them money because there's multiple ways to earn on YouTube.
Well,
Not just an ad spend, but when YouTube ad spend, but you can get sponsors, you can get connected to things like donors. You can have all these other things going on. You can then create a course or create a book that you can sell on YouTube, right? And then you can do like products, like for instance, the camera you use, the mics you use. You can talk about those things, right? And I can guarantee you, there's other people out there who are looking at those things and they're connecting with you better than a manufacturer of the product because they're like, oh,
yeah.
this person understands me.
Yeah,
So
so many people complain that technology takes us away from each other. And in so many ways it does. But when you start to use it as a tool, you can
yes,
actually build very strong relationships worldwide. Whereas before you could only do it, you know, for people you could see, I guess, face to face. Um, but as you were talking about retirement, have you're familiar with Tim Ferriss in
yes,
the
the
4 Hour
4 hour
Work
work
Week?
week.
Great book. I mean, I've given it away to friends. I just love that. I've read it. I don't know how many times. I think it's it's very utilitarian. It's practical. It tells you
Yes,
what to do. But why I bring it up is because of retirement. I think that people view retirement differently now than they have in the past. Re, retirement has changed. Like you said, people are finding that they're getting bored or for whatever reason, 5 years down the road after retirement, uh, they're looking for something new to do.
yes,
And it's maybe not for the money, maybe it is, but oftentimes it's not. I worked for the Veterans Administration a long time ago. Um, I guess when I was doing my administrative residency, and I met a lot of people who were not there for the money. They were there to serve the veterans and for the mission of the organization. And I think that's true in a lot of nonprofits and hospitals and just
yeah.
there a lot of
There,
people, the world is so full of hate these days, but there are a lot of people that care.
yes. And retirement is getting longer now. In the past, you would live until 55, 65, and then heart attack and you're gone. No, you're 80, you're 90, you're 100 years old, and you're
Yeah,
vibrant. You're not sitting on a chair in front of a
exactly.
porch. You're vibrant. You want things to do. You're playing pickleball. You're out doing Tai Chi. And then you're looking for purpose in your life. And one of the principles I've learned is the Japanese principle of finding purpose at every stage in your life. So I always say it doesn't have to be you're doing a YouTube channel to attract clients. It could be a hobby channel. You could talk about your gardening hobby, all the
Right.
skills you have. You could talk about owning the cars you loved, right?
Right.
And micro niches. You can go down to talking about one specific car. Like I love Land Rovers, right? And there's a
Okay.
whole Land Rover community all over the world.
Oh,
And
yes.
honestly, if you put us together, we probably couldn't even fill a room, right? But
I don't know about that. There,
I think there's more than
maybe
that.
it's
But
the earlier year or earlier. Yeah, I don't know. That's for discussion later. Uh,
yeah, but the point is, you can do a Land Rover
right.
channel and find your niche right there. And it's a hobby channel. And these
Right.
guys are reaching out to you, giving great information of how to keep your Land Rover running. So for those out there who are not necessarily looking for money,
Oh, oh no, he froze.
building a YouTube channel that you're reaching people, you're conversating, it's great.
No, I definitely agree. You froze in the middle of what you were saying, and I'm like, no.
I saw that, yes.
But you're,
I
oh,
saw
you're good.
that.
You're good. No, that was, really, I mean, so key, I think, to a lot of the people who listen to the show who talk about creating change in their life. And, I too have, I've been in my role for a long time, and it is very easy to get burnt out. In fact, I use this podcast has been somewhat of a passion project for me to get out there and do something that I think will help people. Um, and I hope that this is a call to action for some of the listeners to really take a good look at their situation and what maybe where they want it to go to. Like for retirement, if you're in your 50s, it's not too early to start thinking about what does your retirement look like. It's not going to be sitting on a front porch drinking lemonade for me. I want to list. I want to just. I honestly want to do just more of what I'm doing now, but be have more freedom to do it and time to do it. Family,
Oh yeah,
friends, travel, food. I mean, all those together. You know, that's uh, that's how you use technology. And another really good positive of YouTube is that you can work anywhere. Uh, you can work anywhere and still get the job done. And you are frozen. Oh, okay.
yeah, I'm
I thought you
back.
were kidding me when you're just faking like you're frozen. But and I had a point too, other than that, but you got me. I'm calling you Dr. Ice. No, it is things are different nowadays, and how we work, and also what we do often in our day-to-day lives may seem quite normal and routine and boring to us personally. But when you start to talk about others, you might be actually doing something that is pretty spectacular, pretty unique, and people do have an interest in it because they want to do it. Um,
Yes.
you know, I know why I watch YouTube, and I like to watch shows like Scout Outdoors. They're a couple who live in Newfoundland on an abandoned island, basically.
Wow.
They're, and they're having a baby right now. I've been watching it for a year solid. Every week they put on a episode, and they're also building a nonprofit organization to promote the outdoors. With kids nowadays, they're so glued to their phones. They're starting camps to help
The
get people out
subtract,
there.
yeah, get them away from the technology.
Yeah, so they're now they're younger, but now there's a couple that's probably I don't know how old they are. They're in their 40s or 50. It's hard to tell, but they have a 76-foot yacht that was built in like 1968. So I mean, when I say a 76-foot yacht, this is a work in progress. And
Wow.
they're going to do this great sushi challenge, which goes from Washington State up along Alaska coastline, across the
Mhm.
Bering Sea over to Europe and China, and it looks amazing.
Yeah.
They're putting in electric motors in this yacht
Yeah.
right now, and it's all on YouTube. Um, and I just love, for me, that inspires me to live my life to its fullest. I mean,
Yes.
these people are just doing, extraordinary things, or ambition strikes. They take on these different projects, like building a house
Yeah.
off grid, or building a boat or something. We all have all these different interests, and it's all right there on YouTube. It's like
Yes. And I was saying,
you can't say you can't do anything nowadays. You don't know how. Look it up on YouTube. I bet you somebody's done it before.
yes, there's no, as Gary Vee puts it, there's no new ideas. It's been done before. It's all been done before. And so when you say, if I start a channel now, will it hit anybody? If is it market too crowded? Is it too many YouTube channels? The difference is your unique take on things. You're not going to resonate with everybody.
Right.
So when you talk about, yeah, I don't know if you ever read Tools of Titans.
Mm-mm.
That's I think it's Tim Ferriss who wrote Tools of Titans.
Okay.
And he talks about, at the beginning of the book, he says, I've interviewed all of these people, and I can tell you, 10% of them will resonate with you. 10% of them, you will hate what they're talking about. You will never want to do that. And the other 80%, you won't have any thoughts for or against it. It's just something. So it's the same thing with your channel. There's people who are going to resonate with you, and there's people who aren't. And that's not what you're there for. You're there to show your knowledge, to share your expertise, and to really help people to grow, right? And there's 8 billion people in the world, right?
Yes.
That's a phenomenal amount of people. Like one person compared it. They said a million seconds is 11 days, right? A billion seconds is 3,500 years, right? So 8 billion people, there's 3,500 more people than you would ever reach in your entire lifetime. So there is 1,000 people out there who want to hear from you. There
Right.
are
Yeah.
10,000 who want to hear from you, right?
Yeah, that's what they said too. I've gone through a lot of courses and such too, and they talk about, finding your tribe.
Yes,
And I know on my mailing list for my podcast, which I never ever do anything with it. I really should. I really should engage the people who have taken the time to give me their email address and say, "Hey, I want to keep in touch." I'm a bad host, but those say, I don't know, 500 or 1,000 people on there, 300 people. It doesn't matter. Those people, they get you, and they want,
there,
th
yeah, they're your tribe.
yeah, that is a lot of people now, I think don't have the self-confidence, but
Yes,
through things like seeing the email, uh, you know, reading the comments, I don't know. Sometimes they can hit hard because there are a lot of negative people out there, but there's a lot of positive that can come through uh, when you actually take action and try to do something and try to change the world. Going back to the population kind of based approach, you could also, I've run these big programs like grassroots programs for helping veterans
yes.
when I was with the VA.
Mhm.
And really, my measure of success was if I help one veteran, it made it all worth it. And you help just one person at a time. And before you know it, your tribe is, something that you never imagined because, you know, look at why you're trying to do these things. First of all, you know, if you're
As
just
you
trying to
mentioned
make
that,
money, there are a lot of people trying to make money out there and they can see right through it. And no one's gonna give you their money for nothing.
yes. And
And
as
and
you
they're chicks
mentioned
for
that,
free. No,
yeah,
aging myself with the
yes. But as you mentioned that finding a tribe and not reaching that one person, I had an interesting story from my mentor where he was doing a YouTube channel, not for any for building anything. He was just doing it because he just wanted to share information.
Yeah.
And he made like 30 or 40 videos and he decided he was going to shut it up. He was like, okay, I've had enough of this. I've tried it. I'm going to continue focusing on my business and helping my people to grow their businesses. And he says when he decided to shut it down, he got an email from one of his listeners, and it was a mom of one of his listeners. And the mom was like, you know, my son listens to you all the time. You've really helped him get through a lot of struggles
Wow.
from what your information is. And he said it was so moving. He's like, I didn't even know people were listening to this. I was just doing it because I wanted to test out the space. I wanted to see what I can do. And I was just doing it to impart some knowledge. And it had an impact on a young person. So, I mean, that is just phenomenal, the impact you can have on just that one person.
That
And
I agree. The feeling's amazing.
yeah.
My children, I have three kids, two are grown, but back when they were in school, and actually my
Mhm.
son who's in high school, they've told me, they said, yeah, we're in class and we had to talk about, you know, something about our family. And I mentioned that, my dad has a podcast, and they were like, oh, what podcast is it? And he said, there was a kid raised his hand and said, my dad listens to that with me all the time.
Wow.
And it was funny. I mean, it wasn't funny when it happened once, but it's happened a couple more times now. So I mean, it's great. I love it.
I think that negates any negative comment you ever have. And that's my
Yes.
thing. My thing with negative comments is I'm always empathetic. I don't know what's happening in your life that you have to use me as your punching bag. I'm happy you are because then you're releasing those emotions. But I give back empathy. I say, hey, I hope you have a great day. I hope you have a great life. It'll be better tomorrow. Right. And I understand you're going through a rough time. So I'm not gonna be all, oh, you can't say that about me. It's not me you're saying it about.
Right, right.
It's if you're having a rough day and it just so happens I'm the person who is taking the brunt of your anger. And that's okay.
I've learned that I've seen that in other doctors, that doctors are able to compartmentalize, and you hit it on the head. When people speak out and they're angry and they're yelling at you, they might not even know you, and they're yelling and
Not a clue.
going berserk. It's about them. It's not about you. But and if you get all emotional and tied up into that, and get pulled into that, which is very easy to do, you're not in a position really to help them. It's only hurting you, um, which is not what we're here for. Dr. Z has frozen up again. Oh, this is a long pause here. We'll cut that out if we need to. Yeah, here you're back.
Hey John, I think I froze a little bit. My internet dropped for a second.
No, 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 that's okay. That's okay. I understood, and we'll just.
But I agree with what you're saying about, you know, and I worked as an emergency physician for a long time.
Oh,
And one of the things we encountered all the time, especially when we dealt with deceased relatives and so on, was the angry family, the angry relatives, the friends and so on. And I always understood you just went through a very traumatic experience. You're scared, you don't know what's happening, and you don't, and you're just lost in this moment. And your anger is not directed at me, it's directed at how you're feeling right now. There's nothing wrong with you. It's a good feeling to have. So I stand there and I go, I'll give you guys a moment. I leave you to with the family, and I step away, right? And yeah, it's sometimes you just need to compartmentalize that and say, hey, let me take a moment, let me remove my emotions and let them express their emotions.
mm-hmm.
That's always a good way to go.
Yeah, too. I have to recognize that too with my own self and in my marriage, honestly. I have to take step back and really kind of I try to put myself in other people's shoes and try to empathize and see from their point. And it's amazing what you can learn. Um, and I feel so stupid sometimes when I do that, honestly, because it's like such an idiot for the way I was, behaving. Uh,
Yes. But marriage is harder because you're so close to that person.
Yeah,
So
no,
you
no, that yes, it's hard, but I think that again, this is what this show is all about. It's about bringing people together who
yes.
want to make change in their life and perhaps don't really know how. Um, I'm sure we have our entrepreneurs on the show. We have the wannabe entrepreneurs, I think is the term. And fake it till you make it is what they say. And honestly, my podcast partner Tommy, who passed, we used to say that all the time in the beginning, like you feel like a poser, like
Yeah. The imposter syndrome.
yeah, imposter says, but then we started getting, like we had a really good fan base in New Zealand,
Wow.
and that was so cool. And I'm thinking, I want to travel to New Zealand. My parents, I grew up in Florida, and my parents did a
Mhm.
lot of business with Trinidad
Oh, nice.
businesses, with the airlines actually too. This is back some time ago, but but yeah, no, it's fabulous down there,
Yeah.
And,
Well, you're sunshiny all the time, as you say, like Florida.
yeah, no, and I think and I think too, you appreciate um, when you live in a surrounding like that. You have a different take, I think, on day-to-day life and what it is, and the day-to-day grind that people experience here in the States, especially.
Yeah.
And I'm in Virginia, and I'll tell you, the weather is not like Trinidad, not like Florida. It's
But
horribly depressing. I understand seasonal affective disorder now because it's just so cold and damp and just horrible to live in. And you're in the sunshine, the only salt you're worried about is on your margarita
yes. Well,
or
sunshine all year
your
long here, so yeah.
but I think that that holds true because I think a lot of what I was trying to get to is that people have a life. I think a lot of people have lost hope, um, and kind of lost. They don't dream as much about like what their life can become. Um, the American dream, whatever that was back in the 50s, that today's Americans don't have that same view. And I know the rest of the people in the world, throughout, they have a different view of what life
Yeah.
is all about.
Yeah, life is a little different. And honestly, sometimes you just need to travel, right? You just got to get out there and see who else is out
Yeah.
there. And you realize, there is another side to this. And when you do that, you get exposed and like I was surprised. Like I've been to the US tons of times, and I was surprised in New Orleans when I went there for the first time. There was a lot of people I met who they didn't even have a passport. They never even left their county. And for me in
Yeah.
the Caribbean, almost everybody has a passport. We're traveling everywhere. We're going to different islands. We're going to the US. We're going to Canada. We're going to Europe, right? And I was surprising the amount of people I heard that didn't have passports. And it really took me aback for a second. And sometimes it's just you're just getting into the next state, and just getting into the next village is enough to say,
Yeah.
okay, there's a different perspective here. So yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think a lot of Americans, they stay exactly where they were raised. That's not me. I grew up in South Florida. I've been moving north.
Oh, nice.
Now I'm as
Yeah.
far north in the south as I can.
Well, I can also say because the world is so interconnected with the internet and
Yes.
World Wide Web and stuff that
You,
if bring it back to YouTube, if you build a YouTube channel, now you're connecting to people in New Zealand. Who thought you would be like, I didn't think of people in New Zealand would be listening to you. I know you have these conversations with these other people around the world with a different perspective, and now your horizons have broadened. So you may not be able to get out of your house and have the money or the ability to travel, right? But you can travel right on your internet. Get on a
Yes.
YouTube channel. Start talking to people. Create those live events where people come in and they're now interacting with you. And suddenly perspectives change.
Yeah, no, you know what? You're absolutely correct. And I'm going to do the call to action on that one. And if there are any listeners out there that are in countries outside of the United States, you can email me at John at a swift kick in the ass. And well, let's set up a Zoom call like this. And just it would be great to understand, a different perspective, and change the perspectives and kind of offer that. But I think that's great. And I love what you're doing of helping people to kind of get that structure, provide the structure that they need and learn you know, what steps to take to make that, all come a reality. It's great to see, I think a lot of people don't even try. They quit before they quit before they even try it because they tell themselves they can't do it.
Yeah. Yes. And they already make 3 videos or they never make it to 3 videos and then they quit because it's not getting the views. Like I've only gotten 1 or 0 views. You gotta keep going. So John, can I share a gift with your audience if possible?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm gonna post it in your chat. This is the playbook I created, and it's a 7-step framework to attracting clients on YouTube. And I treat YouTube um, like, so everything you're selling something, right? Whether you know it or not, you're selling something. Whether it's yourself, whether it's your kids, whether it's your house, you're selling something. And but how can you do that while being on camera without being in front of the person that you can respond to? And this framework is all about that. Is how can you create a sales framework that doesn't sound salesy? It sounds like you're really trying to help people, but it's getting the message across. You're connecting with a person through the camera and really getting them to understand what you're doing and how it resonates with them. It's all about them, but you want to show them, you want to answer those questions, you want to connect to those people. So
Hmm.
I created a 7-step framework that helps people to now create a video that is not too salesy, but it does create a sales practice that allows you to make your videos connect with the audience deeper and then get them to know you better. So I'm sharing this with your audience.
I,
Um,
I appreciate that so much. I saw the link come in. I'll make sure that it gets in the description and in the comments.
awesome.
But
Yeah.
Dr. Z, I so appreciate your time. And this is, I honestly didn't know what to expect. A lot of these conversations, I don't really know what to expect, but I always love having them because I learn something more and learn something practical that I can apply to my own life. You know, because I'm not trying, I know a lot of the listeners here, they're not interested in starting their own business, but they're things that we talk about. This is really about adding structure to your own life. And if you're trying to create change in your own life, we offered some ways that they can do that. You don't have to start a business. You don't have, you know, it, that doesn't
You can
have
do
to
a
be the
YouTube.
intent.
You
Yeah.
can do a YouTube channel as a hobby. It can be your purpose is to impart knowledge, and that's all you want to do. And you're just sharing it, but you want it to connect with
Yeah.
people also. So
There was a lady that I forget her name, but I saw her. She did just that. She she had a farm or something like that, and she was going through a divorce, and she just put some stuff out there like, this is what I'm doing today. And you know what? People started commenting and asking questions, and that created she made more videos for that. Now, I mean, now she makes revenue from it. She lives off of it now.
yeah, and it starts somewhere. And you
Yeah.
might start thinking this is just a hobby, and then realize, hey, I can make a little bit of revenue, a little bit extra change, and that helps me to make my life easier. Or you can leave it just as it is, right? Whatever one you want to take, whatever challenge you want to take on that, that's up to you. But my goal is always I just want to get more people on YouTube and sharing that amazing wisdom, that amazing knowledge with people who are really looking for it. And like what you do here, John, I appreciate being on your show. I'm thankful for what you did, right? And I hope you
My
bring,
pleasure.
and I love the fact you're bringing this to the masses.
Thank you very much. I
So one
think,
question I have for you though, do you do
sure.
a newsletter to your
No, I
email?
don't do a newsletter. What would I do a newsletter about, though?
So I actually have one suggestion for you, if you don't mind.
Oh, I'm
Um,
all yours. See?
You're doing these amazing podcasts where people are saying, we want to learn more. You can now take those video scripts, either the transcript or you can even take the video itself, dump it in an AI, and ask it to write a newsletter for you. And
Oh,
now you have a newsletter. And you can, on one show, like in just this show alone, I mentioned so many things. You can do individual tidbits, and that could be your newsletter every week, all for just one show.
that's
So
a great idea.
that's a way to leverage your AI, create a simple newsletter, and have it go to your audience. And now you have a newsletter and a podcast and a YouTube channel.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Thank you so much. That's a great suggestion, Dr. Z. I
Yes.
appreciate that. Well, thank you very much, and thank you so much for sharing your journey with me on a swift kick in the ass. It was a pleasure. It was a real pleasure having you on the show, and I hope we keep in touch.
Thank you for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure. And so I do appreciate it.
Thank you. And you have your website right there, tamarindtreemedia.com.
CameraTreeMedia.com. Yes. I have to do some
It,
updates in it. So I'm just doing a few revitalizations and a few things on my channel and so on. So yes, so be lots
it,
of things happening.
all right. Thank you. And I
All right.
will mark you as a contributor as well on here. So
Awesome.
thank
All
you.
right.
Have a
Thank you for
wonderful
having me,
evening.
John.
Thank
You
you so
too.
much.
All right.
Bye bye.
Have a good one.
That was a great episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got your ass moving. Until then, until the next time, I'm out of here. Peace.